Hello, welcome to McDonald Harvey. Would you like a cheeseburger and a side of arsenic?
That was a good one.
Healthcare horrors.
Murder. Welcome to another episode of Healthcare Horrors.
Where we talk about investing money,
Hey.
Yeah.
not murder.
Yeah, it's all about money. Well, sometimes the murder is about money,
It's true.
but not today. So I'm Alicia Carosella, your veteran training and development specialist. I'm like, what's my title?
Think about it for a second. I am Ashley Boyce. I am just a brand specialist.
Not
Nothing-
just
a brand special. Come on.
I mean, you
You're
sound
a
so
rock star.
fancy and stuff.
I'm not.
Your title sounds so awesome. Okay, I'm a brand specialist. What's up?
There you go. I'm just on the knobs.
Just on
See,
the
I can see
knobs?
I'm just on the knobs.
He's just the knob guy.
That's
I
all my
mean-
title is.
Also, his name is Dolan.
Oh yeah, I'm
He's
Dolan.
also a brand specialist, but
Is he?
he's cooler than me.
No.
You're a
Okay.
brand specialist. I'm just a brand specialist.
Oh my goodness. Okay, see that coffee's kicking in. All right, so last time we talked about Dr. Teat Harum and his buddy Dr. Thomas Algren.
And we did a good job at not making fun of his name, which I'm just going to bring up now if anyone wants to laugh at his name, Teat.
Okay, in which we were really proud of ourselves because we had a lot of people's names come up in previous episodes that we were not mature enough to get through, but we had such a long time in between recordings that we had enough time for it to sink in, and we got all of our immaturity out before we hit record. And then we had to bring it back once we realized
So now
that
we're
we didn't
laughing at it
mention
now,
Yes.
right? And we're laughing at it now. Okay.
Yep.
I don't get it. I'm just kidding.
Well, you see, no, I'm not
gosh.
going to explain it.
No. Okay, who are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about Donald Harvey. Donald Harvey was born April 15th, 1952, which makes his zodiac sign Aries. Aries are passionate, motivated, and confident leaders, but they often get frustrated by exhaustive details and unnecessary nuances. So we'll see. Donald Harvey was born in Hamilton, Ohio, and then he was raised in Owsley County, Kentucky. He dropped out of school in the 9th grade and then began working at hospitals at the age of 18. He dropped out probably because of all the things Ashley's about to tell you.
He had a decent childhood, aside from being dropped on his head a few times.
Strike one.
I turned out fine.
TBD.
His family did struggle a little financially. They lived in a house with no running water or heat. When he was 6 months old, his father fell asleep while holding him and he dropped baby Donald. And then when he was 5 years old, he got another head injury after falling out of a truck. Overall, though, he had a good relationship with his parents, even though his parents did fight a lot. He was, however, sexually abused for over a decade by a neighbor and another family member.
Strike two. Not his fault, but
Yeah, so that's super sad. This made him feel vulnerable and he alienated himself during school. He did not have many friends, if any, but the principal at the school claimed that he was an ideal student. In 1961, now Donald is 9 years old, he got a pet chick, even though his mother told him, no, you can't have any pets. He comes home with this chick when his mom tells him to take it back. Instead of returning the animal, he decides to kill it.
strike three.
Bam, on a roll.
There was a baby bird, sidebar. There was a baby bird on the sidewalk the other day that fell out of a nest, but it had to have fallen very, very, very far because there wasn't like a tree around. And like I was trying to like move it with a stick onto the side. I mean, it wasn't going to fly.
Was it already dead? Oh, it was
No, it was
still
alive.
Oh.
But then I was like, should I just step on it to put it out of its misery? And I couldn't do it, so I just left it alone.
I hate
I don't
that
know.
too.
Something probably ate it.
Hopefully, and then it just, circle of life.
I know, but I'm a grown woman and I couldn't step on an
wouldn't
animal that was
either.
already dying. And this 9-year-old just kills a chick.
When he kills it, this is the first time in his life where he gets a sense of control. We're going to move on. 1968. He's 16 years old when he decides to drop out of high school. I don't really know why he decides to drop out of high school.
Probably just a lot of
Just stress.
issues and things going on. Yeah.
When he drops out, he moves to Cincinnati, Ohio to work in a factory. So he just goes right into the workforce. But in 1970, comes across another accident. He's very accident prone. He falls and tears a ligament, which results in him being unable to work, and he loses his job. At the same time, his mother contacts him about a sick relative, so he returns home to be with his family. Upon visiting this sick family member in the hospital, he begins making friends with the staff at the hospital. They find out that Donald is he's fallen on hard times. He lost his job. So they suggest that he applies at the hospital to be an orderly. And the hospital we're talking about is Marymount Hospital in London, Kentucky. This is 1970. Currently, this hospital is closed and it's set to be demolished if it hasn't been demolished yet. Donald is 18 years old. He puts on his charm and begins work at the hospital May 11th. He gets a few weeks of orientation and then he is on his own. So we will get into his first victim, Logan Evan, an 88-year-old stroke victim. So part of Donald's job is to remove and replace catheters and clean the patients. Donald is getting ready to replace Logan's catheter. Logan makes a mess. So some bodily fluid gets on Donald, and Donald is enraged by this and decides to smother Logan with a pillow. Wrong career choice if that's how you're going to react to this. Because I'm sure it's not the first time it's going to happen. Once Donald cleans up the mess, he decides to report that Logan is dead, and while he was replacing the catheter and stuff, he just claims that he thought Logan was asleep, and then he checked the pulse when he was done and realized he was dead. Sadly, since Logan was an elderly stroke victim, the hospital didn't even question Donald, and at this point, like when he killed the baby chick, he felt in control of his life and just felt on top of the world. So, Elizabeth, Wyatt, did you have any more on Logan by chance? Okay.
No, I'm just thinking about a lot of things, but I'm thinking it's kind of like whenever a dog kills a chicken, right? As soon as they get that first taste of blood, you can't let him out around the chickens anymore, right? It's like he got his first taste of that thing, and now he's ruined forever.
Yup. Yes. So Elizabeth Wyatt, 42-year-old cancer patient, confides in Donald, since he is regularly cleaning her, taking care of her. She confides in Donald about her deteriorating state, which makes Donald act, and he lessens her air supply, which kills her. And this ends up being a way he does kill a good chunk of his victims. So again, he goes unsuspected. July 1970, Eugene McQueen is a patient with cerebral palsy and lung congestion, which means that it's very important that this patient stays on their back. So Donald, sees that Eugene is struggling, maybe quality of life isn't there. He takes matters into his own hands and flips Eugene onto his stomach, which I don't know how this is helping the poor guy, but he flips Eugene onto his stomach, which causes him to drown from the fluid in his lungs.
This guy kind of annoys me because at one point he tries to like backtrack it and say like that he's killing to ease and to empathize, you know, with their pain and put them out of their misery. But then he's like, yeah, but I'm just angry at most of them.
Yeah.
It's just that. It's just like that unhealed trauma from his childhood.
Yeah.
He's very confused. God, I hate it. Okay.
Nurses discover Eugene, and Donald does claim that he moved Eugene and that it was a mistake. It was an accident. He didn't mean to kill him. So Donald does not get written up. Also, the facility at this time is understaffed, which is kind of a common problem we've seen.
But also as an orderly, like he doesn't have like a huge role in the actual medical care. And so they probably don't even expect him to know that much. So he can play dumb because how would I know that turning him over was gonna, you know.
Right. So keep in mind at this point, he is manipulative. He has manipulative qualities. When he came to the hospital to begin with, it was on hard times. He lost his job and he was there taking care of a family member who was sick and who did eventually die. So a lot of his coworkers are also just kind of sympathizing with him too, and you know, they're not thinking anything of it. Another one of his victims, Mr. Williams, is also on oxygen, and Donald decides to swap his oxygen tank out with an older, broken one. That happens a lot. July 1970, Donald claims a patient dislikes him, and gives him hell every time he sees him because Donald accidentally trips over a catheter tube. This patient's name is Ben. Ben eventually like hits Donald over the head with a pail or a bedpan. Maybe it's because Ben knew that Donald was maybe going to try and kill him.
Also, if someone tripped on your catheter tube,
that's
ouch.
Exactly. But also,
I hit him on the head too.
Why is the catheter tube like out
on the floor
in the open where you can trip over it? So one night while Ben was sleeping, Donald punctures Ben's bladder with a wire coat hanger by inserting it through a larger catheter. So this causes Ben to go into a coma and he eventually dies from infection. Like, what a way to kill someone. How do you think of that?
Here, can I list off all his methods of killing?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, because that's one of them, which I thought was like the most absurd. So he never had like one specific way.
Yeah.
Arsenic, cyanide, insulin, suffocation, miscellaneous poisons, morphine, turning off ventilators, administering fluid tainted with hepatitis B or HIV, which then gave patients a hepatitis infection or HIV or some other illness, and then the insertion of a coat hanger into a catheter. Like,
wait, what?
Yeah.
We'll get into the hepatitis B one a little bit if that's...
yeah. Like, and he would, like, the cyanide and arsenic he would put in their foods. So anyways, yeah, we can continue on. But I thought that list was so crazy because, you know, we commonly see, like, these people with, like, one method. He's just like, no.
Yeah.
Whatever's at my disposal. A coat hanger?
Yeah. Gnarly. So in the midst of all this killing, Donald does befriend a mortician named Vernon Midden, and he picks Vernon's brain a little bit about autopsies and how he can find causes of death. Donald finds Vernon's job very interesting, and he also finds interest in the occult. When he's with Vernon, he just feels a way he's never felt before, so he develops a crush for Vernon. Even though Vernon does have a wife and child, they begin an affair. And during their sexual relationship, Vernon also shows Donald more ins and outs of autopsies, which just increases his confidence in murder. Dolan, are you okay? He looks
This
so
guy's
out
just
of it.
is messed up. Man.
But wait, there's more.
But
There's more.
There's always more. Like honestly, no, I can see like it's like very heavy information to digest.
Yeah. So one of the things Vernon, the mortician, informs Donald about is, so if there's someone that's been suffocated with a pillow, that person is going to like ingest fibers from the fabric. So in Donald's next victim, Maggie Rollins, who's a burn victim, he puts a plastic bag over Maggie's head before smothering her with a pillow so that she doesn't ingest the fibers and they don't find out that that's how she died.
Vernon, keep your secrets to yourself. Trade secrets. Jeez.
Nuts. So he's an elusive killer because of Vernon's information. In 1971, however, their relationship does end, and Donald turns to alcohol and resentment. He's also charged with arson after starting a bathroom in his apartment complex on fire, and then he goes into custody for burglary. So he just kind of goes off the deep end a little bit further. While he's drunk and in custody, Donald confesses to the murders at the hospital. But because he's drunk, the police just think he's delusional and they release him with the burglary charges or fines, and that's it. Eventually, Donald does resign from the hospital because he remembers telling authorities about this, so he gets a little nervous that the authorities might come back and investigate, which they don't. So he resigns from the hospital and enlists in the U.S. Air Force, of course, not bringing up anything about the burglary charges. In 1971, he's accepted in the military. He joins the military in hope for distractions from everything that's been going on. However, he just gets like boring office work basically, and he moves to California and he starts doing a bunch of drugs. So it's not any better. By March 1972, so he's not a part of the Air Force very long, he gets kicked out after confessing to the burglary charges. It sounds like he just got basically so stressed out and paranoid he just like confessed about the burglary charges.
Maybe he just wanted out of the Air Force.
Maybe. Because he gets dismissed and it's listed as honorable medical discharge. Now, only 19 years old. Like, I feel like he would be so much older. He's like already done so much, it seems like.
Oh my God, he has. And there's still more.
Yeah, so he's 19 years old. He moves back in with his parents. And he gets submitted for psychiatric treatment from abusing drugs. Eventually, his parents are like, look, dude, you gotta go. You gotta, like, get your own place. He starts taking on just odd random jobs to get by. September 1975, he's now 23 years old. He decides he wants to get back into healthcare, and he seeks a referral from Marymount Hospital so he could return to the healthcare industry, despite his fear of police investigating the deaths that he admitted to. So he gets a referral. He applies for a nursing assistant position at Veterans Affairs Hospital in Cincinnati. He gets hired, and the section of the hospital that Donald gets assigned to is already known as Death Alley. So there's already a lot of people dying there.
He's like, perfect.
Yeah.
Great place for me.
Sounds great. Sign me up. It didn't take him long to get back into his killing spree, of course. He also gets involved in an occultist group in the community. In 1976, he becomes a neo-Nazi and takes on a German alias and completes a course in witchcraft.
So he's a Nazi witch? A Nazi warlock?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not tracking.
And he joins a coven.
What?
Oh, yeah. He's
like, I just want to be bad. I don't care what brand of bad, just bad.
Yes. Which, I mean, not all witches are bad, but the stuff he starts dabbling in is bad. Okay, anyway. So due to his neo-Nazi attributes, some murders are most likely prejudiced. During his commemoration to the witch coven, Donald claims that he comes into contact with a spirit named Duncan, and Duncan was a doctor killed in World War II. I don't know if Duncan was a Nazi doctor or whose side he was on, but
I'd be real annoyed if a ghost was like, my name's Duncan.
it's kind of a cool name. Is it not cool enough?
No, I want something more exotic.
No, I was going to bring up Ouija board stuff, but we're not getting into Ouija boards. That's a no-no.
I just went straight to Dunkin' Donuts.
Now I want donuts.
I had donuts this morning.
You didn't bring us any?
They were forced bribe for swim lessons this morning.
Okay.
I have to keep those.
So in 1977, Donald conducted rituals in his home to summon Duncan and ask which patients he should kill. So maybe he's a little bit of a visionary killer, trying to talk to the voices in his head. Who knows? Also, like every serial killer, they have their trophies from their victims. Donald likes to save bodily fluids from his victims. I don't know which ones.
You know what? We should keep DNA. So then when I get caught, I'm real caught.
But you know what? On the plus side, he stopped all of his drug habits. So
I'm so happy that he's clean. He's just got a new addiction.
Exactly. So at this point in time, we're in 1980. He's 28 years old. He moves in with a man named Carl Howeller. They are in a relationship. Carl begins having an affair.
Oh, Carl. You should just know better.
So Donald finds out about this affair, and his resentment leads him to experimenting with arsenic. So now we're going to start getting into the poison a little bit. Donald wants to figure out the perfect dosage to give Carl in order to keep him home, but he doesn't want to kill Carl.
He just wants to make sure he's too sick to carry on his affair.
Yes, exactly. Which specifically happened on Monday nights, apparently.
Monday's a good night. Very unassuming evening.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
I guess most affairs happen on a Friday or Saturday.
Or
I don't
like
know.
maybe over lunch.
Is there data on this?
I don't know.
I feel like Monday night, like no one, my head wouldn't necessarily go to like Monday night's the danger zone.
Later, Donald also decides to poison one of Carl's friends, Diane. So now we're going to get into the hepatitis B.
A hepatitis serum
Oh, okay.
in her drink.
Oh, is that how he does it? I don't have that specifically.
Yep.
I do have, so he goes to the morgue at the hospital and he goes through the biohazardous waste, and that's where he finds this hepatitis.
From the morgue.
Yeah.
Oh,
And apparently puts it in her drink.
yes. Oh my God.
So, of course, hepatitis affects your liver, and it can be deadly if not treated. I don't know if Diane dies or not.
I don't know. It doesn't. No, I don't think she does die. I think she just has hepatitis now. The other lady, Helen, does. Helen Metzger dies because he puts arsenic in her pie.
Okay, yeah, he starts going a little crazy now with arsenic, and he puts it in various foods and decides to gift food to his neighbors. The look on your face, Dolan.
And his potential father-in-law, Carl's dad.
Yes. So May 1st, 1983, Carl's father gets admitted to the hospital due to a stroke. Donald visits Carl's father and kills him with arsenic in the hospital.
What did Carl's dad, Henry, ever do?
Poor dude.
Hello, welcome to McDonald Harvey. Would you like a cheeseburger and a side of arsenic?
That was a good one.
But
All right, July 18th, 1985. Finally, some people start getting a little suspicious. Security guards stopped Donald at the hospital for suspicious behavior. They search his locker and find microscope slides, needles, a pistol, a part of a liver affected by hepatitis, and books on medicine, occult topics, and a bunch of other weird stuff. So they fire him.
Fair enough.
That's it.
I mean, I think just one of those things would raise an eyebrow, at least.
Why do you have a liver in your locker? This should be on ice somewhere. Or a pistol in a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Veteran Affairs Hospital, they fire him. So now he moves on and applies at Daniel Drake Memorial Hospital in Cincinnati, and he gets hired February 1986. He's a nursing assistant on a rehabilitation unit where patients are there for long-term care. So Nathaniel Watson, 65-year-old, he's almost completely unresponsive due to a stroke. So we don't know if this is true or not, but apparently there was a rumor that this patient was a rapist, and due to Donald's past of being sexually abused, he attempts to smother Nathaniel. Now I'm thinking about Nathan and how we joke and call him Nathaniel. Anyway, so he tries to smother Nathaniel, but he gets interrupted a few times, but eventually succeeds in killing him. Another victim, Virgil Weedle, he's 81 years old. He befriends Donald, confides in him that he is basically ready to die. And of course, Donald's like, all right.
I know a guy. So Donald finds his rat poisoning and puts it in Virgil's pudding, which leads to Virgil dying of cardiac arrest.
Just like so many different methods here.
And questions. So many questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, why did he do a different method for different people? Like, was he just having fun with it?
I was going to say for funsies. I don't know.
I think he just he gets a little more like just sporadic with things.
He's very impulsive. I think anything that was at his disposal was fair game.
Another patient, he puts cyanide in her apple juice, Doris Nally. So she dies that way. He kills a lot more elderly patients. And it continues to go unnoticed. So in 4 months, he's killed at least 6 patients. Finally, some nurses notice the amount of death following Donald. But once they try and seek out help from the hospital administration, they're turned away, of course. By the summer of 1986, Donald's relationship with Carl officially ends. So Donald is angry, he's violent, he turns back to his occult practice and the witchcraft stuff. He calls on Duncan, the spirit, for guidance. And he begins mixing and experimenting with different poisons in his trailer that he's living in now, and comes up with a cyanide and water mix. So this is where he gets a little more sporadic. And he starts also making a record of everyone who kills, which, again, if you're killing people, don't write them down. But
no, write them down so that when you get caught, jeez. But he's got their bodily fluids anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So weird. Does he label those, or is there just like a?
I don't know.
Is he putting them in jars? Are they on like slides for a?
Maybe they were on slides like Dexter, like the blood thing.
Oh, I forgot about that. See, too much killer stuff up here.
Yeah, I don't know how he was collecting them. Anyway,
it's weird that in year 17 he's like, I want to make a list.
Yeah. John Powell, one of his next victims, he's in the hospital for a motorcycle accident. He is breathing by a breathing tube. He starts to recover. Donald noticed that there are a few setbacks in his recovery. John tries to communicate something to his family that something's not right, but apparently it's not clear. I don't know if he just couldn't talk very well, probably because breathing tube. And so his family's like, we can't really tell what you're saying. We'll be back tomorrow. And of course, by the next day, Donald kills John with a cyanide mix. Yeah, avoids suspicion again.
So he becomes a person of interest when apparently the investigators learned that the real reason he was forced to resign from the Cincinnati VA hospital was that he was caught stealing body parts for occult rituals.
Is that what that liver was?
Maybe. See? So that's what they're classifying it as. So, jeez. Yeah, they didn't vet orderlies closely like doctors or nurses. So then they brought him in for questioning and he confessed to Powell's murder, claiming that he euthanized him with cyanide.
So apparently, when you're doing an autopsy, there are certain tissues that need to be tested in order to detect cyanide. It's not always something that can just easily be detected.
It's like at the back of the eyeball or something weird like that.
I think that's what it is with.
Maybe
I've heard of that too.
It's like the back of the eyeball or like something.
I know
where you can
about that.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, there was that Jolly Jane or someone, maybe not, because that was
Jane Toppin. Was that Jolly Jane?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, there was something with the eyeball and something could be detected there.
Maybe that was arsenic. I don't know.
But in this case, so Dr. Lehman was performing the autopsy, and Dr. Lehman specialized in diagnosing cyanide and other poisons. So apparently with cyanide, there is a very particular bittery almond smell. And Dr. Lehman caught on to that smell coming from the body. So he started running those special tests of the tissues and whatever and found cyanide in his body. Did you find anything?
I found, so cyanide can be found, you find salts or solid crystallines near their nose or mouth.
Okay.
I'm still looking for the eyeball thing because I do remember that.
So by March 8th, 1987, an investigation does emerge. Donald is anticipating the worst. He takes out cash. He actually does research on how to trick polygraph tests. So they start questioning people in the hospital. He gets rid of all of his cyanide, occult books, and just basically any evidence that they would have against him. So he's paranoid. Mid-interview with the authorities, he declines even taking a polygraph test, but he's anxious and ends up confessing to killing John Powell in April of 1987. So he gets arrested and then he's charged with murder. When asked about other killings, however, he says that he can't remember. So there was a time where he was just so depressed and overwhelmed that I guess that did affect his memory. Authorities thought that by him just saying he can't remember certain things that maybe he's going for the insanity plea. But a psychologist deemed Donald fit for trial. So a local television station covers Donald's trial, covers the story. An anonymous nurse from Drake Hospital comes forward with 13 possible victim names. And after that happened, more nurses start coming forward.
I'm learning a lot about toxicology, but nothing about eyeballs.
So William Whalen, Donald's attorney, is trying to get a plea agreement for Donald versus a death penalty. But Donald has to confess to all of the murders first. Do Do you have anything to add?
I just have
to
that
him?
his court-appointed lawyer, Bill Whalen, sorry, my hat hit that, that he immediately asked if Harvey had killed anyone else, and that Harvey replied to him that by his estimate, he had killed as many as 70 people.
Jeez. Yeah, it's a lot.
So then his attorney knew that if prosecutors could link him to more than one murder, he would receive the death penalty. So in the bid to save his life, he offered the prosecutors the plea bargain if the death penalty was taken off the table.
So in August 1987, now Donald's just 35 years old. He is found guilty, gets sent to prison. Although not all of the murders could be proven, just the most recent 10 could be proven because of the cyanide and poison. The story comes full circle. March 30th, 2017, Donald Harvey's 64 years old, and he dies from injuries he gets after being beaten by another prisoner who knows some of the family members of the victims from Marymount Hospital. I think it's Marymount. It's one of the hospitals he was working at.
His fellow inmate, James Elliott, who killed him, was charged with aggravated murder and other charges related to the death of Donald Harvey. In September of 2019, James Elliott, was sentenced to 25 years in life in prison after pleading guilty to killing Harvey, and the sentence was originally ordered to run consecutively to his other sentences, but then was later changed to run concurrently. So Elliott will be eligible for parole in 2046 when he is 71.
Oh, jeez.
And that's what I got.
Yeah. So, yeah, the result of a traumatic childhood and the need for control ends up to all of these deaths, decades of murder. He confesses. I have that he confesses to 37 victims, but yeah, it could very easily be way more. Like, it is more. You just can't prove that, or he doesn't remember.
Kill so many people you don't remember.
Right.
By the way, I think the eyeball thing was related to your glucose levels for like diabetes. Like when you inject people with insulin
Yeah, there you
too
go.
much,
That's what it
where it
was.
is.
I don't remember who it was specifically we were talking about.
I don't know, but I am currently deep in a medical journal.
I'm also reading something about the vitreous humor.
That's exactly what it is. That's how you can tell. And so
well, if you start at episode 1 and work your way all the way up to this episode,
this is
you
23.
will find out.
That was a good call, remembering that you could detect it in the fluids
eyeball.
and stuff, like the tissues behind the eyeball.
Yes.
All my Google searches are going to go back to this IP address here at this date and time. I have an alibi in case something wonky happens. Atlas Med staff.
Don't worry, guys. Alicia's not injecting people with insulin.
I'm not. I don't have insulin. I wouldn't even if I did, but
Oh yeah, back to the what did you say? What was his zodiac sign? Aries?
Aries.
Yes. I mean,
Said it was passionate, motivated, but discouraged by a lot of unnecessary details.
He was. And the, exhaustive details, the nuances, in which I would say he was incredibly aggravated by his patients being patients. So,
Yep.
Because he was motivated. I mean, he did a lot of things before he was 19.
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I'm like very concerned.
moved very quickly.
So, but his reign of terror was 17 years long. So,
Jeez.
All right, who are we talking about next? Episode 24 is coming up. We're getting close to 25.
how do you say his last name? Petriot?
Petoit?
Yeah, but the I is before the O. Marcel Petiot.
Marcel Petois.
Well, I think he does end up practicing in France. But all right, well, don't do anything that Donald Harvey would do.
Tune in a few weeks.
All right, murder.
Thank you for listening to Healthcare Horrors, brought to you by Atlas Med Staff. Just a reminder, we are not healthcare professionals. We are just fans of true crime, talking about some of history's darkest moments in healthcare. Stay tuned, stay healthy, and stay safe.
Healthcare horrors.
Murder.